Nation, welcome in the Gurus podcast. I am your host, Spencer the Guru, here with my co-host Josh. How's it going, man?
It's going good. I must say, it always gives me a little chuckle when you do that intro.
Oh yeah, man, definitely keeping the spirits up here because this is championship week, y'all. Championship.
That's right.
Fantasy week, Saturday, Sunday, a little different this week. No Thursday games, so we don't have to worry about that.
Tears. All tears.
They just watch the podcast here and get your info for the weekend. All right, well let's get right into it here. Let's start off with the quarterback position. I'm feeling pretty froggy this week about a lot of quarterbacks, especially Russell Wilson for the Seattle Seahawks going against the Chiefs. Of course, Patrick Mahomes a must start, but so is Russell Wilson, I feel like. He's got a great matchup. I'm sure that game will be a high-scoring affair, a shootout there. It'll be in Seattle. Russ always plays well at home. Has some good weapons. Baldwin's back healthy. Chris Carson's running well. The offense really seems to be clicking at the right time, so I'd feel really comfortable with Russ as my starting QB for the championship.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Russell Wilson has looked great. We all know Russell Wilson plays better in the second half of the season, so if you got him, you start him with all the confidence in the world, especially with Doug Baldwin looking like he did last week. He's looking like he's back. I'm going to touch a little bit more on that later when we get to the wide receivers, but for now, talking about quarterbacks, and I completely agree with Russell Wilson. My first start of this week is going to be actually my own quarterback in my league, in your league, is Mitch Trubisky. Now, I've been really high on this guy all year, and unfortunately, he's been through a little injury over the last couple of weeks. And last week, he looked really good, and he looked healthy, which is, the most important. He looked healthy. He looked solid, and he's got a good matchup this week against the 49ers. 49ers are 27th against quarterbacks, and I'm just super confident with all the weapons that he has around him. Even though they're going to be in San Francisco, I'm still confident in him, starting him with all the confidence in the world. Can't wait to see what he does.
Gotcha. I think last week you were a little nervous about him, if I'm remembering right. I had a little more faith in him. It's because I saw the practice reports were green, a full participant. So it looks like he's back healthy, ready to roll. Good start for this week.
I was too nervous with him, and I cost myself and started Dak. One of the worst decisions I ever made in my life, but thankfully, I still, got the win.
Okay, at least it didn't cost you the week.
It almost
I made the right call in one of my leagues. I played Mitch over Josh Allen. He outscored him by a couple points, and I ended up losing the week by a couple points. Frustrating, but it's the way it goes sometimes. Another guy that I'm big on to start this week is Phillip Rivers. While a lot of people are running and not wanting to start him, one show I was watching didn't even have him in their top 15 quarterbacks. I was like, holy crap, how could you not have this guy in your top 15? This guy he's the definition of consistency in what's been kind of a weird year for quarterbacks. I mean, the top dogs have all been a little off at times this year. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, even Drew Brees the past few weeks hadn't been his usual self, where Phillip Rivers just seems to be always there, consistent, 20 to 25 points week in and week out. I don't care who he's faced. I mean, Baltimore is a solid defense, but I mean, they give up points at times. I mean, they're not as good as they were in the Ray Lewis days. I mean, so I feel like Phillip Rivers is somebody, if you have him, you got to start him.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree just a little bit with you. It's not that I'm not high on Phillip Rivers. I wouldn't start him if I had another really good option, mainly because they are playing against Baltimore. Now, I will say, Phillip Rivers, they're playing for that number one seed now. They're on a huge high last week after beating the Chiefs. They're going for that number one seed, and they're going hard. So there's a good chance he has another solid day. Of course, his ceiling could be very limited because he's playing the Ravens, and the Ravens have one of, if not the best defenses in the league. So it's going to be rough, but there is the possibility for a 2 or 3 touchdown game. You just got to hope that he can protect the ball. Hope that Melvin Gordon is back so that way they can control the ball.
He's looking good.
A little bit more, yeah. And so if that happens, then I think Melvin Gordon actually helps his stock a little bit if he comes back.
Right. It looks like Gordon will be back. Keenan Allen could be back as well, kind of more up in the air. But I still feel good with Phil. I mean, he's somebody you gotta go with. So you got any more starts of the week?
I do. I have one more start of the week for me, and that's Drew Brees, the one and only Drew Brees.
Stealing my guy.
so basically with Drew Brees, I know it's been a rough past couple weeks with Drew. He hasn't been the Drew that we've been used to seeing, and it hurts me. I'm sure it hurts you to see as well as we're watching these games as fans. It's just been rough to watch, but I'm giving him a pass because it was a 3-game away stretch. And look, That's rough on anybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Tom Brady. I don't care if you're Drew Brees. It doesn't matter. A 3-game road stretch is just ridiculously hard. He is biting his lip to get back at home and play.
Most definitely.
And play in front of the States crowd. And there's a chance that this game could be a shootout. So, I think he's got a high floor and a high ceiling. I say start Drew Brees with confidence and try to win yourself a championship with him.
Right. I can agree with that. Yeah, Breeze and Big Ben both should be good starts. I mean, that game's going to be should be a high-scoring affair in the Dome. I was telling this to somebody tonight. I was talking to my roommate, man. I was like, if Breeze sucks this week, I'm going to panic. Like, if the Saints offense, not necessarily Breeze, it's more the Saints offense, not just Breeze, but the Saints offense struggles again this week, I might start to panic. I mean, the Saints have the best record in football, but I feel like the defense has picked up. The offense, I feel like, will pick up as well starting this week, and thus Breeze will have better fantasy value as well as real life value. I'm really hoping that this will be the week, and I think it will. I mean, back at the home, dome field advantage, and it should turn around this week.
Definitely no more excuses. We gotta look
right,
good this week.
We gotta get
Pittsburgh's
it done.
defense is a little tough, but it's not really that good to where they should be able to shut us down. So no excuses.
Yeah, Drew Brees will be all right. Yeah, Alvin Kamara, Thomas got to start him. If you made it this far with him, if you made it through their rough patch and are still fighting for your fantasy title, it must mean your other guys have been pulling the weight. So those guys might not do as well this week, because, I mean, that's just the way football goes. You can't do good every week. So this should be the week where Breeze and company in New Orleans should be due for a nice bounce-back performance. Another quarterback, I know you're down on this guy after last week, but he's a guy this week I think will bounce back big, and somebody that I'm starting in a lot of leagues is Dak Prescott.
Don't say
Facing Tampa Bay at home. I mean, what a juicy matchup. I mean, that's perfect. That's perfect for success. Tampa Bay's defense isn't very hot right now. They just stink, to be honest. They're not good, they give up big points to quarterbacks almost every week. So I feel like Dak will really take off this week. Him and Amari Cooper I really like. I feel like both guys are worth starting, especially, in 12-man leagues or more. They're not good. I mean, Dak obviously isn't a superstar, but he's somebody that's a stable producer, and while he might have his downfalls every now and then, but I can't pass up on this matchup, man.
Let me ask you this. Would you start Dak Prescott over Mr. Trubisky this week?
That's tough. I'd probably go here. I think Mitch is on the road, and the 49ers been a little better. I'd probably give a slight edge to Dak. Although after last week, I mean, he left such a bad taste in your mouth. I feel like they're neck and neck.
Not happening.
I can't blame you for going Mitch, because they are very close.
Yeah, no, I will never have Dak Prescott on my team again. Period. Forget about it. It's done with. Zeke is the only Cowboy that's going to be on my team from now until forever. That's just how it's going to be.
Gotcha. So who are some other guys that you're kind of down on besides Dak? You're piling it all on Dak here.
Well, yeah, I know. I could do a whole show talking about how much Dak Prescott sucks. But I'm gonna go to my big sit of the week, and my big sit is actually going to be Lamar Jackson. And the reason why I have him as a big sit is because I have heard a lot of people debating on starting him. Some people saying they have been starting him over some pretty big names in their playoffs, and I just don't trust it this week. They're playing at the Chargers, who right now are the eighth ranked team against quarterbacks. And like I said earlier, the Chargers are super hungry to get that number 1 seed. I think the defense, that's already a very good, solid defense, that defense is going to kick it up a notch, and they're going to be playing hard this week, and I think they're going to do everything they possibly can to make Lamar Jackson beat them with his arm. And if they do that,
he ain't beating them with his arm.
He's not beating them with his arm. It's not. I just don't see it happening.
They've got no weapons either. I mean, he doesn't utilize John Brown or Michael Crabtree. Those guys are ghosts at this point.
Not at all. So I don't trust him. I don't have him in any league. I'm not picking him up in any league. I would completely sit him and be done with it.
I'd agree. I agree with that, man. I'd much prefer Josh Allen at this point.
Absolutely.
And, the other guys I'm looking to sit, these are pretty big names, but I wouldn't trust them for my fantasy finals. That's Tom Brady and Jared Goff. Don't trust either one. Brady facing the Bills, who are tough against the pass. Last time Brady faced them, threw no touchdowns. And, I think he'll do a little better than that this time around. He's 41 years old, y'all. He's no longer the the great Brady. He's still a very good QB, obviously.
Right.
I mean, he's not washed up, but I mean, he doesn't have that edge anymore. I just don't feel like he's not somebody that I trust in a tough matchup anymore. He used to just be a must-start matchup-proof option, where now it's like you got to be cautious with a guy like Brady. So I'm not starting him. And then Goff's been in a huge slump
Yeah.
going at Arizona, which
Yep.
appears to be a good matchup on paper. But the Cardinals have a above average pass defense, and they're gonna be at Arizona, and I wouldn't trust Goff. He's been throwing picks like crazy, especially on the road. And I thought he'd bounce back at home last week and really just didn't deliver. And I'm selling Goff. I'm to the point I'm benching him. I'm in my IG Experts League, which I'm hoping to finally take the title in after 4 years of making the playoffs. I have Goff and Russell Wilson. I'm starting Russell Wilson all day. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
sitting Goff, and if I had like a Dak Prescott or Mitch Trubisky, I'd start either one of them over Goff. Don't trust him.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of those. I would lean a little bit more towards starting Goff than I would Tom, just because I do think the matchup is really, really good. But like you said, like if I got a Mitch Trubisky or Josh Allen, I'm starting one of those guys. I got a Drew Brees. I'm starting one of those guys all day, every day against or instead of Goff. Absolutely. I actually have one more. He's not a full sit, but I just want to touch up on him real quick, and that is Big Ben. Now, the reason why he's not a full sit for me is because I do think that, like I said, I think there's a chance for a shootout. But
Yeah,
I would proceed with caution with Big Ben because he's going to be playing at the Dome. This defense has been on fire lately, and they've been on fire on the road. Just like Drew Brees, I think this defense is waiting and so excited to be back at the Dome. I'm not saying they're going to shut down this Pittsburgh offense because the Pittsburgh offense is really, really good. You got Antonio Brown, you got Juju. That's tough to stop.
Yeah.
But you never know. I don't know.
I see the
mean,
Saints defense coming back to earth this week. That's why I'm thinking
Think
the
so?
offense will do better. I think the offense will pull more of the weight. And I'm thinking Ben will do well most of the game. And at the end, kind of thinking he'll kind of run out of gas and throw a costly pick or two, similarly to Brett Favre.
Okay.
You know,
Gotcha.
just a guy. He's a gunslinger. Just goes for it all. He'll put up a nice fantasy performance. He'll probably end up costing his team down the stretch just because he makes a ton of risky decisions.
Okay.
But for fantasy, you know, he's getting the volume, getting the yards and touchdowns. So he's somebody I'd start.
Gotcha. You have
Let's,
one more. You have one more sit.
No, I'm ready to move on to
Ready to
running
move on
backs.
to running
y'all.
backs.
We got to
All
move
right,
on
let's
here.
do it.
Running backs.
Let's
We've
do
got this week, man. I'm going to keep riding the hot hand and starting Derrick Henry. I feel like Derrick Henry's a great start this week, facing the Washington Redskins, who are just in a total tailspin right now. The team has looked awful ever since Alex Smith got injured, and the defense hasn't even been as good. Because they're always on the field, and I think that'll be the case this week. Henry will lead the Titans offense. He'll control the clock, and I think Henry will churn out another 100-plus yard performance with multiple TDs. He's on a roll right now, and I don't see that changing. It's just an amazing matchup.
I'm a little bit on the fence about Derrick Henry. I think if you have to start him, I think you can start him with a little bit of confidence. I think if you're going to start him, it needs to be in your flex.
I'd say RB2. I'd be safe on him as an RB2.
I don't know. I would just proceed with caution with him because even though the Redskins have looked bad, they still are pretty good against the run. I think they're maybe 13th or 14th against the run right now. So they're kind of in the middle of the pack. I think the potential's there for a 100-yard game, like you said, but the potential's also there for them to shut him down for about 50 yards. So, you know, just
don't
proceed
see
with
it.
caution. If you have to start him, start him. If you don't, you got a better matchup, think about it.
Tennessee's defense has been really good though, and then their Washington offense so inept. It's just like
You're right.
they're not going to be
You're
on
right.
the field. So I
Right.
don't see much bust potential this week. But let's move on to your guy. Who are you high on?
See,
this
like
week?
if I had this guy in the same league with him and it was between these two, I would very much lean more towards starting this guy, and that's Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen has been the man for me all year. I actually picked this guy in waivers, I think in the fourth
PPR
round.
Jim. I'm
PPR
glad I have
Jim,
him in the
absolutely.
league.
He's a solid flex with easy RB2 potential. I loved his usage even in the cold weather. I was worried about those last couple home games with it being cold in Chicago. My big worry was, oh man, they're going to start going to Jordan Howard a lot more. They're not going to really be giving it to Tariq Cohen. wrong. They're still using him. They're still using him in all kind of packages. They're still getting him the ball. He's a very dynamic and explosive player, and he's super valuable in PPR. If you have him on your team, you absolutely start him without question.
Yeah, I'd start him in PPR standard, though. I definitely would prefer
Right,
Henry. You
right.
know, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
PPR
absolutely.
Cohen is a great option to have him in that IG experts league I talked about earlier. So yeah, I'm hoping him and Russell Wilson will blow up and really help
Him
my
and
team
Mitch
out.
need a big game. Need
Yep.
a big game from both.
Nothing wrong with that. So another running back I'm really high on. I kind of touched on him earlier, and that's Chris Carson. Just because I'm so high on the Seahawks this week, because the Chiefs always are in a shootout, and I think the Seahawks will be able to keep up. And Chris Carson, somebody that should go off this week and have a big week. While he's not a great receiver, he's going to churn out a lot of rushing yards there, and should have a really nice game. He's on a good run lately. He's back fully healthy. And he's somebody I feel like is a rock solid RB2, somebody that I'm trusting in my fantasy finals.
Oh, I love Chris Carson. I've loved Chris Carson since the beginning of the year. They kind of had their ups and downs with the Seahawks offense, with Pete Carroll not knowing if he wanted to really commit to Chris Carson or if he wanted to get his rookie running back in there.
Yeah, and Penny's banged up, so it looks like Carson's got the backfield to himself.
And
Mike Davis in there a little bit, but Carson's the guy.
And Carson's taking full advantage of it. He's looked great. So absolutely, start Chris Carson. I think he's almost matchup proof. I mean, he looks really good. So I would absolutely start Chris Carson without hesitation.
For sure, man. Who else you got?
So my next start is going to be Jamal Williams. Now,
man.
before I continue, okay,
That one makes me a little nervous.
two things. Number one, if he's healthy, because now he's got a questionable tag that came on him today. So today's Wednesday, just in case you're not watching this on Wednesday. But on Wednesday, he got a questionable tag because I think of an ankle injury. So that needs to be monitored. You need to watch for that. I need to watch for that. I'm currently starting him in my flex. So, it's a little concerning. But if he plays, if he's 100%, I think in flex and PPR, I think he's a must start. Last week against a very good Chicago team, probably the best defense in the league in my opinion, he looked great. He came in, I don't remember when Aaron Jones got hurt exactly, but he came in for the rest of the game, looked decent on the run.
He looked the part. I mean,
he looked decent on the run, looked really good in the pass. You got to understand, Ty Montgomery's not there anymore. So I think that was the biggest reason why earlier in the year he wasn't really taking full advantage when Aaron Jones wasn't there. He's got every opportunity right here to pretty much be on the field for about 90% of the snaps. And I think he's going to do very well in the run and the passing game. I like his matchup. I like everything about it. It's just, is he going to be healthy? If he's healthy, start him. If he's not, obviously, you look for another option.
Right. I got you. That's the thing that concerns me, man. I just don't know if he'll be able to handle that workhorse workload. The workload that comes with being a workhorse. That's why it makes me a little nervous with him. Here's another guy. I feel a little better about this guy because he hadn't really had to deal with the wear and tear of the regular season. He's just getting kind of broken in coming off his injury, but he had a while to rest up, and it seems like he's kind of in a groove. That's the running back from that same game, Jets guy, Elijah McGuire. He's from University of Louisiana, where I go to college, and he was a legend over there, and hoping he can make a good pro career, and he's looking well so far. He had to battle an injury, but he's back and looking strong, and I feel like with no more Isaiah Crowell, no more Bilal Powell, they're both out of the picture, so Eli was a guy I was high on before the year, but he got hurt, and then had the two vets in front of him, where now it's like he's got a clear path to carries, and he's the main guy there, and while it'd be hard for me to trust him as like a true RB2. He's definitely somebody I'd flex. He's somebody I'd flex, and he's got RB2 upside, so I wouldn't mind inserting him into a lineup if needed.
Yeah, I contemplated picking him up. The only thing about him is that I watched the game last week, and I felt like they were trying to run with him too much. And I know that sounds weird to say about a running back, but Elijah McGuire's true special ability is coming out of the backfield in the passing game. And
he's very versatile. He can do it all.
And I really hope that next week the Jets use him more in the passing game, because I think if they do, I think he's in line for a much bigger game than if they were trying to just rush him and trying to force carries down his throat and trying to run him up the gut.
Yeah,
he's not that kind of running back.
David Johnson with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
They need to get him out in space.
He's not that kind of running back.
Yeah, hopefully, and I think though that They could use. I mean, he's just getting broken in, so I'm hoping
Right.
he'll do a little better this week and have a nice week. Well, who are some running backs that you're down on that you're staying away from?
Okay,
this
so
week?
my first sit for this week is I have James Conner / Jalen Samuel. So basically the Pittsburgh running backs.
Yeah, it sounds like Connor's not playing, so it's going to be the Samuel show again.
Right. Connor's questionable right now. It looked like he might have been coming back this week, but they're saying he's
Not
got a
looking
setback
good at
right
all,
now.
yeah.
It's not looking good. Something to monitor throughout the week, but honestly, if I had either one of them, I would stay completely away from both of them because they're playing against the Saints. They're playing in the Dome. The Saints are fourth against running backs, and they're going to shut down either one or both of these guys. It's not a good matchup. It's not a good scenario. Like we said earlier, we both think this could possibly be a shootout. There could be a lot of passing in this game. Now, let me say
Samuels
this.
can catch. Yeah.
I was about to say, Samuels is sneaky coming out the backfield, so maybe you could think about putting him in your flex. But honestly, if you have a better option, I would 100% put somebody else in there because I just don't think that they're gonna have a really good game. Christian McCaffrey, he didn't get fully shut down by the Saints, but I would say besides that passing touchdown that he had, he really didn't do a whole lot. Not compared to what he normally does.
He didn't really break
against
any
everybody else.
big runs. Yeah, well, last week Samuels just gashed the Patriots. Well, I don't think he'll do that. I still feel like he's a solid flex player just on volume alone. You know, he's going to be the focal point in the backfield. Stephen Ridley's terrible. I mean, we want to be straight up about it. So, I mean, Samuels is... I still like, just because of volume alone, looks like Connor will be out, and of course Le'Veon Bell's out of the pictures. I feel like Samuels is still somebody you got to roll him out there if you don't have much running back depth. Just too many touches to sit on the bench. For me, anyway. So,
so who's
a guy,
this sits?
Yeah, a guy I'm not too big on this week is Josh Adams. He's just not someone. He was a guy a lot of people were jumping on with the Eagles, and they just don't really appear to go with a workhorse back. They don't. Yeah. That's not their style. They just go with a committee, and Adams just hadn't really lived up to the hype, and he's somebody I'm fading this week. Not don't really care for the matchup. Just not somebody I trust. I'm staying away.
Okay, I understand that. So my next sit is, and this pains me so much to say, but my next sit is going to be James White. Now, before I continue, let's just take a moment of silence for Mr. James White. Rest in peace. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's long enough. It's just
thanks to Bill Belichick.
It's ridiculous because James White is not a sit because of anything having to do with James White. And that's the most frustrating thing, especially for me, who I picked him up probably in the second week of the season. I saw he was on free agent, and I was like, you know what? He's a good pass-catching running back. Let me just pick him up and stash him and just see. And he instantly became my RB2 behind Zeke Elliott. Yeah. All year, he's been killing it. All of a sudden, Rex Burkhead comes back.
Oh.
And now, all of a sudden, we
killed
really...
him and Michelle.
We really think Rex Burkhead is the truth. Like, they're not winning. Like
Belichick loves him some Burkhead.
And he doesn't. Burkhead does not look good. James White has been the biggest producer on that offense all year, and it frustrates me so much that Belichick... I mean, look, maybe he's saving him for the playoffs, which if he is, I get it. I understand that. It sucks for fantasy owners, but I get it.
Because if there's somebody that doesn't give a damn about fantasy, it's Bill Belichick.
It's Bill
he
Belichick.
Does not
that's right.
Give a flying,
and the honest truth is they're going to need James White in the playoffs. So I really do think it's more of a case of he's saving him for the playoffs because he had such a huge workload.
Yeah, White usually steps up big for him in the playoffs.
Right. So it's just frustrating, but I don't think he's starting this week. I'm not starting him this week. I just can't do it. I just don't like the way he's being used. I think he's being misused all over the field. They want to trust in Burkhead. He's not doing anything anyway. So now, just because I said that, he's probably going to have 3 touchdowns this week. But anyway, so that pains me to say, but he's my last start. I'm in my last sit.
Yeah, no way, man. The other guys I'm not too big on is Jordan Howard, just because he's so touchdown dependent, just not someone I trust. And then Peyton Barber, really tough matchup against the Cowboys. A lot of people say, oh, Peyton Barber, he's so good, so consistent. He's really nothing special, y'all. And then against the tough Dallas defense, he's someone I'm fading for sure.
Yeah. Really, Barber's touchdown dependent. I don't think he's going to get a touchdown.
Yeah, he's like an even worse version of Jordan Howard. Don't trust those guys for the fantasy playoffs.
He'd have to get lucky.
Oh, wait. All right, well, let's move on here to wide receivers. A guy that I'm starting as Amari Cooper, and while I know you're not big on the Dak Cooper magic, I just feel like this is going to be one of those weeks where those two blow up, and especially Cooper, I could see him getting a ton of targets and yards, and just he has those games where he'll just rip off 150 yards for 2 touchdowns. This could easily be one of those weeks, I feel like, so I'm starting him in all leagues.
Honestly, I could see Cooper having a big game this week. It is Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's always giving up touchdowns and yards to wide receivers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I agree. As much as don't want to say it, I agree.
It's not on Dak.
It's not on Dak, right? So my first start is, and I know we've disagreed about this already, but my first start is going to be Robbie Anderson. Now, here's the deal. Let me preference this real quick. I say start Robbie Anderson if you're desperate, like myself, at wide receiver. Maybe you had an Emmanuel Sanders that was your wide receiver too, and he got hurt for the year, right? So now you need somebody to step up and take that role. For this week, I think it could be Robbie Anderson. He's been on fire lately, and he is clearly 100% Sam Darnold's favorite target. He's got a great matchup against the Packers, who are ranked 29th against wide receivers, and they're probably going to have to throw the ball a lot because they're playing against Aaron Rodgers. So I think everything sets up a great day for Robbie Anderson. Could I be wrong? Yes. Am I going to be wrong? Probably.
I gotta have confidence, man.
let's just be honest. But I am going to start him because everything sets up for a great day for Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, the reason I'm not starting is because I just don't have the confidence in him or that Jets offense. I just feel like he's too rocky of a start. Just not someone I want in my fantasy playoff lineup. Just because I feel like, if you made it this far, I'm sure you got 2 pretty good wide receivers. I mean, so it's just yeah, with the Sanders thing. Yeah, but Anderson is not someone I trust. I just feel like he's too big play dependent, and I just don't trust him. I'd feel better about a guy in Deshaun Hamilton, who's actually basically the replacement for Emmanuel Sanders. I know he hadn't really blown up, but he's caught a lot of balls in these last 2 weeks for decent amount of yards. Hadn't been flashy or anything, but he's been productive. He's been quietly productive there in Denver. So I feel like he's got a great matchup facing the Chucky-led Raiders, who are just total garbage. I mean, they suck. I mean, talking about sucky teams, that team's just a dumpster fire. We could do a whole podcast on how John Gruden's run the Raiders into the ground. But back to Hamilton, I just feel like he's a guy. Keenum seems to like throwing to him, and like he's just a more safer play than Robbie Anderson, somebody that I have more trust in to put into a flex spot.
Absolutely. I have Hamilton also, and it's kind of a struggle. And it's probably actually going to be a struggle all the way up until Sunday between him and Robbie Anderson. So I like Hamilton too. I think he's a very good receiver, very solid. Like you said, he's taken over that Emmanuel Sanders role, and he's done pretty good with it. He hadn't done anything amazing, but he's done pretty good with it. He's pretty solid. So I'm going to move on to my next one, and I'm actually really excited to talk about this guy, even though I don't have him. I'm really excited to talk about him, and that's Doug Baldwin. And
all right, now we're talking. I can agree with this.
I think we can all say he's back.
Yes, indeed.
Had a great week last week. Looked like the Doug Baldwin of old. Looked like the Doug Baldwin that kills me every time that I play against him. He looked very good. I believe he had 2 touchdowns. Russell Wilson looked very happy throwing him the ball. Yes, indeed.
Loves throwing to Doug.
Oh, he's absolutely. So good. And it's just been a nightmare all year with him.
He's just been injured from day one. It's been a tough year.
And he looked super healthy last week. He looked great. And I'm super excited about him this week, especially in PPR. If you have him, he's a super sneaky flex play, borderline wide receiver too, if you've had some injuries or anything. Because, I mean, we don't want to get caught up too much with just 1 week. Although, because they've got the chemistry and they've been doing it together so long, I still would be confident about it. So he's one of my starts. I love him. I
feel that. My apologies to y'all if y'all heard me cough a little under the weather the past few days. But I'm feeling better now, and I'm sure I'll be 100% for those fantasy titles. But let's go with some guys that are making me not really making me feel too good at wide receiver. And one of those is Corey Davis. I mean, as much as I love Derrick Henry this week, I cannot stand Corey Davis just because of the way the Titans' game flow has been so run-heavy. Yep. Not really much room for Davis to do much. Neither for Marcus Mariota either. Both those guys, you got to sit them. I mean, Davis just been a total disappointment this year. He's one of the few guys I was wrong about in the preseason. I thought he would have a nice breakout year, but Titans offense just didn't pan out as expected. So don't expect that to change this week. Keep Corey Davis on the bench or the wire. Just don't put him in your lineup.
So, question: do I have to say that I was wrong about Derrick Henry? Because he has looked like the
Yeah,
Derrick Henry
he's-
that I was talking about in the last couple weeks.
Yeah,
but
it's like he's been
he hasn't done it all year.
a little too late, but I mean, yeah, if he wins you your fantasy title, then not all is lost.
Right, you're right. Okay. I actually completely agree with Corey Davis. I think it has more to do with Mariota. I think Mariota, because of the fact that they're running so well also, but he's kind of struggling to get the ball out there to Corey Davis. And, of course, if your quarterback can't get you the ball, you can't do nothing. You can't produce. But either way, I would sit him also. One of my sits is actually Mike Williams. Mike Williams blew up last week for 35 points. If you started him, you got lucky. I don't know why you started him, but you did, and you got
was
lucky.
playing the Chiefs. I mean, so
Well,
maybe a
yeah, but
desperate
yeah.
flex play.
Yeah.
And that's the one I would have recommended. But
Desperate flex play because I mean, come on, the guy hasn't done close to anything all year, and
he's
he
caught a
blows
lot
up.
of touchdowns. They hadn't caught
He's
many
blown
balls,
up.
but he's gotten
Nah,
touchdowns.
nah. He's blown up for 35. I'm not buying into the hype. I don't care if Keenan Allen plays or not. He's playing against the Ravens, who's ranked number 4 right now against wide receivers. They're one of the best defenses in the league, especially if Allen is out and they have to key on Mike Williams. It's a wrap. I wouldn't trust that dude for anything.
Right,
I wouldn't trust any of those receivers to be
Yeah,
honest
I'm
with you.
honestly not too big on that situation there. And another situation I'm really avoiding is the Eagles wide receiver situation, especially Golden Tate. Golden Tate just has not fit in well over there, and Nick Foles took over last week and just didn't have any sort of rapport with Tate. I think Tate's just somebody for this season, just punt, cut him or whatever you need to do. Just don't start him. He's not somebody that's dependable. Even in a PPR, I'm staying far away from the Golden Tate.
So I'll agree with you, and I'll actually raise you another Eagle wide receiver because I would also sit Alshon Jeffrey this
all
week.
right, all right.
Now, Alshon Jeffrey did get the targets and everything from Nick Foles last week, but he's got a really, really tough matchup this week against the Texans, who's ranked number 10 right now against wide receivers. And you got to understand, the Texans are ranked 25th against tight ends. So that opens the door for Zach Ertz to have
Ertz
a
should bounce
comeback
back
day
this week. Yeah,
this
definitely.
week. So I think Ertz is going to be. I think Ertz and Darren Sproles are possibly the two people that are going to get a lot of targets this week from Nick Foles.
Yeah, I'd probably just stay away from.
Well, no,
Sproles.
I'm not saying start him. I'm just saying I think that he'll get some targets
Yeah, he might,
out of the
he
backfield.
might.
I don't trust any of the wide receivers
right,
for
I don't
Philadelphia. I
blame
think
you.
it's going to be a tight end running back kind of game for them, and so I would sit Alshon Jeffrey.
For sure. I feel a little better about him than Tate, but
Yeah, me too.
I'd
but-
still avoid him. And another guy we mentioned, New England wasn't too fond of their offense. I'd stay away from Josh Gordon. I just don't. He's a guy that, I know he let you down last week. I was thinking he'd do well, against Pittsburgh. I thought
Yeah.
he'd have a nice week. I really did, but.
Thankfully, I didn't need it, but he did let me down.
He did
He didn't
terrible.
do
And
nothing.
he's unfortunately just not quite as good as people are thinking. It's because he was out the league for so long,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I mean, I'd maybe be a little higher on him next year, but then again, he's not someone I trust because of his substance abuse issues, and who knows if he'll even be back with the Patriots next year. I think he'll be a
Right.
free agent, so who knows with him. He's just kind of a wild card. But as far as your fantasy titles going against a tough Buffalo defense, I'd stay away. I wouldn't
Yeah.
trust him.
I do think that if he stays there in the offseason, if they re-sign him and he stays there during the offseason, I think he could be very good next year. But we don't know if that's going to happen. I absolutely agree. Don't start him this week. Keep him on your bench. If you're playing for a championship, you don't want to put it in the hands of Josh Gordon and just hope that he gets a touchdown. You kind of want to go with some more safer bets. So, I agree.
Feel that. We'll wrap it up here with tight ends. Won't spend too much time there. A guy I feel like is a good start is Evan Ingram, especially if Odell Beckham's out. I mean, even with Odell, I still feel like Ingram will get enough targets to be a decent start considering how awful the position's been lately. And a guy that I'm sitting is Ian Thomas. He was someone I was really high on last week, but not anymore. Cam Newton's done, so who knows what that other quarterback's going to do. So I'd sit all Carolina receivers and tight ends.
Yeah, I agree. Like we said earlier, If you got Ertz, don't be too scared about what happened last week.
Right. Gotta
Start your
roll with
stud. He's gonna be fine. If you got most likely, if you're in the championships right now, you most likely have one of those top 5 or 6 tight ends.
it. Yeah.
Start your guys. Don't
Yep.
overthink it.
Right.
Just start your guys. You'll be fine.
For sure. All right, y'all. That's gonna wrap it up here. Thanks for tuning in. Again, apologies for being along under the weather, but we'll be all good here. It's going well. And I'm in 4 fantasy championships. Hoping to take them home. Both industry experts leagues, Twitter versus Instagram, IG experts league. So hoping to get those done. And shout out to everyone that's tuned in with us here. My apologies for not being able to do it every week, but we're here for the playoffs. So hoping that y'all are getting good info out of these and winning y'all's leagues. Again, good luck to y'all and see y'all later.